In this video, I'm going to give a brief introduction to lists in Tropicos and list management. So before we go into the details of this, it would be good to kind of remind users that that the way Tropicos is organized now is into three kind of levels with regards to our collections. And these are hierarchical levels. So if we go down to specimens, we can kind of see these. We have the collection events that contain the who, in other words, the collector and collector team, the when, in other words, the day that this collection was done, and the where. Those are the only three kind of parts of information that are held at the collection events. And within a collection event, you could have multiple collections. So you can have, maybe however many collections they were collected at that particular day by this team at this location. And then within a collection, you can have multiple specimens, and this is typically kind of seen as duplicates sent out to different herbaria. So within, say, for example, collection Lannon 100, there could be several specimens, one at Meaux, Paris, Brussels, wherever. So now that we've kind of done a quick refresher of the different levels of Tropicos, let's kind of explore how we build lists and how they can be useful to us. So let's go to collection search first. And now let's say I want to create a list of collections. So let's give a brief one here. Say I'm going to go to advanced search to just get multiple collections at once that I know are a good amount, but not too many. So let's go to collection number. We're going to select from Lannon 1 to 100. We're going to click search. And we see all of these here. So we're going to take the first, 36. And now we're going to click this button here, Save to List. Now we can save to an existing list. And we see those here. Or we can create a new one. For this one, we're going to create a new one. List. So we're going to click Save. And then this list has been created. Now we can do the same for specimens as well. So let's go to the specimen search. Let's see, Lannon, we'll do the same exact thing. And we can see the collection number from 1 to 100. And notice now we are going to get many more hits. So we see here, this is Lannon 1. We see that there's 2 specimens within this collection. One at Meaux and one at the Mauritius Herbarium. So we'll select much less of those. And we're going to say save to list. Specimens test list. We're going to save this new one. And we have there. So now, say we want to look at more detail at our lists that we have. So we can search based on our list, which we'll get to in a little bit. But let's go to manage our list. So to do that, we'll go to the little human icon there next to login, and right below logout, we have my list. So we'll select that and see all the lists we have. So we have a couple columns containing some important bits of information. Much of it is editable. So we have the kind of list. So I just made a collection list and a specimen list. You can make a collection events list as well. I'm not going to get into it because the average user is probably not going to worry about that. And we might make another video going over collection events in their lists in particular later, but that would be for maybe a little bit more specific cases. So we see a bunch of collection lists, and then we have 2 specimen lists. So then we have none of them currently have a description. They have their name, the date they were created, and when they were last modified, and the number of entries in this list. So we also now have this command. We can delete the list here with this red trash can button, or we can edit it. This edit button gives us the ability to edit the list name or add a particular description that might not fit in the name. So we can say a list containing collections of and then we'll hit the save button. So now we have that description there. But say we want to, I accidentally added a specimen or a collection to this collection list that I want to remove. So in order to edit that, I'll have to right click, and now with the collection selected, I now have this option to manage lists. So I'll click on that. A window will open and we'll see all of the collections in this collection list. So I can select them. This is the grid view, as with most of the things we see, so it behaves like Excel. We can select one with left click, or we can select several by holding down Shift and then selecting there and clicking all of them. So we have a series of options that come up here. We can remove the selected record. So say we didn't want to add Lenon 34, we can click the remove here. It'll update, and now it's gone. We can also move items to another list. So maybe this is a scenario in which your list might represent species hypotheses that you're working on describing, and maybe you're going to move a couple collections from maybe an unidentified list to a list that contains a species that you might be working on describing. So you select these, and then you say move, and then you'd specify a list that exists. So say Catoniaphora, save, and those have been moved to the Catoniaphora list. Okay, and lastly, we can copy these to another list as well instead of just moving them. So we can also copy these to Catoniaphora. Okay, so now this button here is to refresh. It typically automatically refreshes, but in case it doesn't, you can click that. So we've now edited this kind of test collections list, and we can see how we can do that. That works the same way for our specimen lists, but now let's see how it works in terms of searches. So if we go to collections, we can search based on our list here. So we see collection lists, and we can go down to our collections test list. We can click search, and we see this. So notice this is a collection search, and we've picked from our collections list. So we see all those specimens there. And then, of course, we can also, in addition to this, we can also kind of convert our specimens list that we made to a collections list. So remember, the specimens list that we made had several collections that was less than our collections test list and had all the different specimens. So we can just see, by doing this, we can just see the collections that specimen list represents by doing this. And we can do the reverse of that if we go to the specimen search. So we're in the specimen search, and we can pick our specimens list that we designated, and we see it here. But we can also pick all the specimens. We can see all the specimens that are included in our collections list. So we'll select that, and then we see that all below here. So that is kind of a quick introduction to lists and the kind of things you can do with them. Similarly, you can select the other thing I wanted to quickly note is you can only add things to lists from the search things. We can't do any of that moving or copying to different lists from the specimen or collection search page or from any search page. So yeah, we might put out another video going over collection events search and stuff like that. But the average user won't need to worry about collection events.